So Split Fiction has released, and within the first 48 hours, sold over 1 million copies. That is bananas. That is insane. That is awesome. However, when you see immense success in a game like this, especially in a game that stars a female protagonist, you're going to have a select type of folk from either side of the political aisle that come out to try and make it as if it were a political message. So welcome back to Words of Paradise. I'm your host, Land Idol, and yes, in this instance, we got Yorch Torch Games, the bane of the quote-unquote anti-woke movement, basically someone who's trying to usurp what anti-woke means, which is to keep politics of either side of the aisle out of video games, escapism, gaming culture, whatever it may be, to try and denigrate and destroy the game, and doing so with the most laughable, easy to debunk, bogus ideological messaging. So we're going to get into what he said about Split Fiction and why it's bogus and why we should support and just adore this game. Before we do, go ahead, hit the subscribe button. I'm a nerdy news channel. I cover nerdy news nearly every day. And yeah, this parasite on the quote-unquote anti-woke community says gamers. Don't we hate that, by the way? Don't we just hate when dudes start off these posts with gamers because it's a key word on X and will like inherently garner so many views and retweets? Like it is textbook farming at its finest. Gamers, you asked for them and here they are. 5 reasons why Split Fiction is feminist slop. A thread. Now, full disclosure, by the way, I have not played Split Fiction yet. I do plan on buying it, and when I do, I'm going to play it with Cinevere. Now, I don't know if we're going to stream it. Maybe her and I will do it in our downtime. I don't know. But the point is, it's going to be fun. We're going to have a good time, because the game is a good game, and I don't need to play it to know that. I've watched my buddies play it. I've followed the discourse around it. I've been hyped for this game since Summer Game Fest, the announcement last year. The point is, yes, while I haven't actually played the game, I'm a supporter of it. I'm happy it's hit the numbers it's hit. And we can tell just by going through what other people have said and shown and whatnot, that it's a good game. This isn't a Dragon Age Veilguard scenario. This is a game first, and if there is a political message, and it's a big-ass if, it comes second, which is fine, because that's all the anti-woke folk have ever actually wanted if you're truly anti-woke. So yours says the number one reason that it is a feminist slop: uninspiring female protagonists. Art direction has suffered greatly during the woke era. New Western IPs seem to focus on realism instead of creativity, and that's why Split Fiction's character models don't really inspire you to play the game. Feminism at work. There are so many things wrong with this. Now, I've gone on record as saying I do not like the modern age of make everything as realistic as possible in your games. That being said, this game doesn't do that. Like yes, the female characters look relatively real. I mean, they still look like video game characters, very obviously video game characters, and they're not even heinous to look at. Like, are they massive hides with bodies? No, not really. But they're not heinous to look at or anything. These are average, and that's fine. But yes, I've said that I do want video games to go back to an era of the 90s, early 2000s, where you've got this sort of mascot-style game development. Spyro, Ratchet & Clank, Mario, Sonic, Jak and Daxter, Ty the Tasmanian Tiger, that sort of thing. But not every game needs to be that, just like how not every game needs to have over-the-top sexy females. So no, these Western IPs seem to focus on realism. Yeah, that's not inherently true or untrue. Just when it's done to an oversaturated effect, yeah, the market is going to get tired of it. Now, as far as the characters not really inspiring people to play the game, bogus. No one's going to play this game for the character models. They're playing it for the gameplay. This is a co-op game. It's a mandatory co-op game. It's a game that is, bar none, heavily reliant on the gameplay. No one's playing for the story. They're playing it for the gameplay itself. And then he says feminism at work. As if feminism has anything to do with this sort of game. Like, that's just... I don't think homie knows what feminism actually is. Point number 2. The emphasis on emotional character development. Games should be about fun. Split Fiction thinks it's a great idea for the two female protagonists to better understand each other and help them cope with loss, open up to others. In a movie or novel, expected. In a game, woke for sure. So character development is woke? Are you out your goddamn gourd? Like, yeah, emotional character development is 100% necessary. Even in these games that he was referring to above, the ones that, the realism, even the non-realistic ones, let's use Jak and Daxter as an example. Jak and Daxter, not particularly realistic, has insane amounts of emotional character development, not just for Jak, but for Kira, for Samos the Sage, for Ashlyn, for Baron Praxis. I mean, the list goes on and on. You can have these cartoony mascot games and have character development. Sonic the Hedgehog, Shadow is literally one of the most, edgy characters of all time. Why is he edgy? Because he has to come to terms with the fact that his best friend, who was a 12-year-old girl, was shot in the face by the military. The military straight up gunned down a 12-year-old girl. In the game is him finding his memories because he has amnesia and coming to terms with that. So yeah, emotional character development is throughout all good narrative-driven games. Also, having emotional character development does not negate fun. It's not like you have to nix one for the other. Games should be all about fun. You know what? I had a lot of a fun time with Resident Evil 4 back in the day. That game was a horror game. It's not just like, oh, look how fun it is to mow down hordes of Spaniards. Like, no, it's a tense, anxiety-ridden game. Even the original Resident Evil is a tense, anxiety-ridden game. The fun comes from people who want to experience that. Some people find it fun to be in these anxiety-driven horror scenarios. But that doesn't mean there is not character development in them. What the fuck are you even talking about? But then, point number 3, the dialogues. By the way, he should have said dialogue. There's no reason to make this plural. How are we supposed to get out of here if we don't start to trust each other? Follow my lead. Get ready to flank him. Oh, shut up. To a male character. So what? You wouldn't have had an issue if oh, shut up was to another female character? How are we supposed to get out of here if we don't start to trust each other? This is a team-based game. This is normal. If you are in a story setting, and the scenario is two individuals, unlikely allies working together, 9 times out of 10, trust is a big component of the situation. No one's going to call Quentin Tarantino woke, but the idea of trust is pretty goddamn massive in Reservoir Dogs. Follow my lead. That just sounds like normal gameplay dialogue. Get ready to flank him. Again, normal gameplay dialogue. And then, oh, shut up to a male character. Well, if the male character's a dickhead, tell him to shut up. I don't care if you're a male or a female saying it. If someone's being a dick and your character tells them to shut up, that's all well and good. You are making shit up. This is such a paper-thin, weak argument. And actual people who are against wokeness, like your boy here, has no problem with this because it makes sense within the confines of the narrative. Number 4, the director's reaction to the game is woke comments and the shill media talking about it. Dude is literally trying to say, because Yorch, this homo-ass piece of shit parasite bitch, called the game woke and got a bunch of his acolytes to say the same thing, that the director reacting to it in a negative light. Well, if it wasn't woke, he wouldn't have reacted to it negatively. Just shut the fuck up. Dude made a game based with female characters based on his daughters, and it's getting attacked online for no good goddamn reason. Yeah, he probably should take offense to that because it's an absolute bogus bullshit argument. Around the game's release, Joseph Ferris, director of Split Fiction, reacted to YouTube comments. He was clearly defensive when one gamer called the game another feminism propaganda-soaked game. If considering that's not true about the game, I get offended about that as well. Back in the day, back when I was in high school, I was writing a comic book. And this is back in the 2010s, way before any of this wokeness nonsense or anything. And my characters were a blonde female and a black boy. if I was to try and write this comic now, doesn't matter how my intentions were, whether I'm part of the anti-woke movement or not, that shit would be called woke. So yeah, when people try and throw the woke label at everything because they're looking for the wokeness in anything because they want to have something to fight against, really, they're no different than the woke in that regard, by the way. The woke people that want to find just everything to be offended about. The anti-woke, not really the anti-woke, the pretend anti-woke, the pseudo anti-woke are doing the exact same thing. That's what your Torch Gaming is doing. So yes, when these pseudo anti-woke, pseudo intellectuals are coming at him claiming his game is woke when it clearly isn't, yeah, dude can get defensive. This is his art, this is his game, this is his baby. The characters are based off his own daughters. By all means, that's incredibly fair and valid to get defensive over. Oh, if the game wasn't feminist, he could have calmly explained why the game wasn't feminist, but he didn't. Dude, you and your ilk have spent since prior to the game's launch, and I good goddamn well guarantee you haven't played it, by the way. Much like I haven't, to be fair, but even so, going at this dude because, oh, the main characters are women, inherently woke, when that's not even the case. You want this guy to go at this calmly. When you throw bitch fits on X daily because modern day gaming doesn't fit your conservative Christian zealot propaganda, get the fuck out of here with this whole pot calling the kettle black nonsense, you absolute hypocrite. Ferris even went on to rant about how his daughter is inspiring him for the game, which is great. No one can have an argument against such a noble inspiration. Then why was this your fourth point? You piece of human garbage. You're a grifter. You are a straight up grifter trying to usurp the anti-woke movement, trying to make something out of nothing, pretending you care about this stuff, when in all reality, you're trying to use video games as a way to spread your own version of right-wing propaganda, no different than what the left did with their woke propaganda. The show media didn't wait a second to talk about it. Well, you know what? Broken clocks, am I right? Monkeys and typewriters. Broken clock right twice a day. Maybe for fucking once. The show media was actually right about something, and it's something they probably wouldn't have even picked up on if you and your ilk hadn't tried to sabotage a game that wasn't woke in the goddamn first place. But let's take a look at point number 5. The game's villain, you guessed it, a white Caucasian male. You know what? I see a lot of folks out there talking about how, oh, black dudes are only 15% of the population. Guess what? That means the vast majority of folk are white. So the idea about the bad guy being a white dude fits pretty well within the demographics of America. Like the odds of a bad guy being white kind of makes sense. Just say it for what it is. You're a fucking racist. Same old trope that feminist media loves. He even calls himself God. That happens in all sorts of games. God damn it, nearly every fucking JRPG has the main villain turning out to be God, or calling himself God, and then you have to kill God or whatnot. That's what happens in Dragon's Dogma, that's what happens in Persona, that's happened in Final Fantasy, the list goes on and goddamn on. He even calls himself God, and of course the female protagonists rebel against God. They're not rebelling against God, they're rebelling against a fucking loser calling himself God, because there's something in real fucking life called a God complex. And to be fair, you actually have one because you think that your word should be the gospel. You think that when it comes to gaming, that your word should be all in, all trump, all, and games should be made to fit your worldview. That's a God complex if I've ever seen one. But whatever, you ain't gonna have any sort of moment of self-introspection to figure that out. No. That would actually take looking inward. That would take a modicum of brain cells. It's a lot easier to bitch and moan about fake wokeism that isn't there. And here's the bitch of the bunch, y'all. Y'all know me. You see my videos. You know what I've been doing on YouTube the past couple of 2.5 years or whatever it may be. You know I don't like woke garbage when it's actually woke garbage, but that's not what we're experiencing here. Here, it's just a fucking game that happens to star female characters like so many other games have in the past. Resident Evil, Tomb Raider, Blood Rain, Dino Crisis, the list goes on and fucking on. But no, because it's modern day, you see a woman, it automatically has to be woke, when in all reality, this game is just fitting so many templates of what came before it. But you can't accept that because you're so goddamn culture war tunnel vision, and because you have this God complex that you ironically cannot seem to understand being a fucking motivation for a villain, the villain in this game, you are actually probably more analogous to the villain in Split Fiction than anything along the lines of us actual real anti-woke individuals who just want politics left out of gaming in general, but you can't see it. It's honestly kind of fucking amazing. The game isn't woke. It's good, it's fun, it's fine. Based on everything I've seen and heard and whatnot, I will actually give you my true thoughts once I purchase the game this week and play it with Cinny. But beyond that, you don't need to actually play the game to know whether it's good or not. That's why YouTube and all these other mediums do exist. And frankly, that's why a lot of games in the modern age succeed or fail. Because we have people that basically try it for us and we can watch their results and watch their response. That's why I'm not playing Avowed. I watched Nure play it, and I read about it, and I watched the video gameplays comparing it to Skyrim and comparing it to Oblivion, and I was like, oh wow, what a terrible game mechanically, story-wise, dialogue-wise, as an RPG, and I knew it wasn't for me. There's no difference here except for on the positive. I've watched everything about this game, and it is for me. This is the sort of game I want more of, that I'm clamoring for. But because the characters happen to be women, and the bad guy happens to be a white dude, you jump on this fucking anti-woke train, and do anything and everything you can to destroy every shred of goodwill we've built up to this point. You fucking grifter. But these are just my opinions. Let me know yours in the comments down below, or let me know on X. You can find me at Bolt the Word, and please do subscribe. I'm a nerdy news channel. I cover nerdy news nearly every day. Not always about the gaming industry, but anime, movies, music, Magic the Gathering, you name it. Check me out on Instagram at wordsofparadise_Leon, and become a member for $4.99 a month. You can join the Discord, choose the articles we go over on a day-to-day basis, choose the videos we react to on our Sunday live streams when we hit tier 3, and of course, get involved with over 160 other vital idols. We are a bright, beautiful, glowing, vibrant community that I cannot wait to grow even further. Because we do care about diversity, but only one kind of diversity. Diversity of thought. If that's interesting to you, join the Discord, hit subscribe. Until next time, it's all here in the Nerdosphere. This has been Words of Paradise.